I believe that confidence comes from knowing who you are and being true to who you are. Confidence is a personality trait. It's a way that I describe myself. I said I never allow anybody to take my confidence away from me. Michael Jordan never lost even a sprint in practice. Never. He was always number one. And what I want everybody to realize is you have to practice and you have to show up every single day as if it's the main event. Resiliency. The person that's the most resilient is the one that's going to win. When we look at the back end of all the systems, the vast majority of those that listen to this podcast aren't yet subscribed. It would mean the world to me if you could subscribe today. That allows us to reach more people, the podcast grows, in turn allowing us to bring even bigger guests to you. I appreciate you for being here. Thank you so much. Okay, well, welcome everybody. This one is titled Creating Confidence, and this is one of the number one reasons why people will usually reach out, or the number one reason why people are attracted to my social media or my presence is because of the level of confidence that I have. For those of you who don't know me though, and didn't see the way that I grew up, I had zero confidence as a child, and I was constantly seeking approval. I was constantly seeking permission. I was constantly looking left or right because I had no self-trust. And to me, self-trust is really what we're talking about here. So the good news is I'm 44 years old, and if you've watched my journey or you've seen my journey, I have found a way to cultivate confidence, and it's one of the things that I am so passionate about in teaching. My goal really is to impact as many people as possible to step into their full potential and to arm them with the tools and resources, and also to be able to, to give them their next step. Oftentimes we're stuck, and if we can just hear something or somebody from the outside, you can hear a story, it'll give you that idea of what it is that you're supposed to be doing next. So back to confidence. I always like to start off by asking people if you trusted yourself, which really means that who cares if you fail, right? Who cares if you step out on the path and you have to make a shift or a change? Who cares if you enter into a partnership that you have to get out of? Who cares if you change your mind? High performers, this is one of the things that most people don't give themselves the permission to do, is to change their mind once they step out on the path. Now, I don't believe in changing your mind all the time, but it really is something that it's a distinction between high performers and high achievers, is that we give ourselves permission to change our mind. So, in essence, what would be different in your life if you trusted yourself? What's the career that you would pursue? What are the risks that you would take? What boundaries would you hold with the people in your life or the commitments that you make to yourself if you trusted yourself more? How would you walk into a room? Now, this is another thing, if you've ever been around me in person, that a lot of people ask me to help them cultivate, is the way that I walk into a room. And I can show you the mechanics of how to stand and how to walk in and where to look, and that's great, and that'll help you out. But if you want to build that posture long term, it starts in the inside. And if you're confident in the inside, then you don't think about the mechanics on the outside, because it's just who you are and it's just the way that you walk. So I believe that confidence does not come just from proving yourself. I believe that confidence comes from knowing who you are and being true to who you are. So why does this matter? Well, confidence is a personality trait. It's a way that I describe myself, but it's also a performance strategy. I was in a dialogue with somebody. I was working on my branding, and he just said, he said something about vulnerability. I said, I'm a confident person. I said, I never allow anybody to take my confidence away from me. And then I shared something vulnerable, and he goes, well, didn't you just like waver on your confidence a bit, for a little bit? And I'm like, no, not at all. Why can't vulnerability and confidence exist at the same time? Right. In fact, I think that they should. Duality is a real thing. And so just because I'm not confident in a certain area, and I reached out to this person and hired them to help with some brand messaging, does not change my being as being a confident person. Because at the end of the day, I'm still overseeing this whole thing. I'm still making the decisions, and I trust myself that I'm going to see. And if I see something I don't like, or I see something that I like, I'm going to know what that means to me. So confidence, just because there's a sliver of something in my life that I'm not confident about, it does not change the personality trait. It's also a performance strategy because you can cultivate it and you can cultivate more of it and you can identify the areas that you need to improve on if you need to. And all of that just continues to rise and it becomes a distinction, a separator between you and anybody else around you. Confidence is important because it influences everything and it influences the way you speak, you lead, you walk, you create, you show up, you parent, again, because you trust yourself. And it's a game changer because without it, the most talented people continue to play small. And with it, the most talented people, it's a complete game changer. And I'll tell you what I mean by that here in a second. So a myth about confidence is that you either have it or you don't. You're born with it or you're not. And I do believe that DNA matters. I do. It's crazy to see the things that are passed down through our DNA, but I also believe that you can cultivate it. I'm going to show you that today, and also that no matter where things are from a DNA perspective, my personal example is living proof that it doesn't matter where you are, you can add and you can subtract. And if you're not making the right decisions to make sure that you're trusting yourself and knowing exactly where you are and getting to radical truth, then your confidence is going to suffer. People also think that confidence is built by accomplishments. And I do believe that confidence is built by proving to yourself what it is that you can do and understanding how it is that you got there. But I coach in Nashville in the country music industry as well. And I had a newer client who's an artist tell me recently that he would be more confident if he could get another number one. Well, he has a pile of them from the past. So if that was true, wouldn't those other number ones that he's already proven to himself, wouldn't that mean that he's a confident person? So there's something else there that we had to dig deep on and figure out, why doesn't he feel confident? Oftentimes I see that people get to a certain place and they have no idea how they got there. So it's really hard to replicate because you're like, gosh, I have no idea how this landed. Somebody found me on my website and it came in, and then I went and did the thing. And then you're like, wow, that was amazing. But you have no idea how they found you. You don't know how to replicate it. So are you really confident that people know who you are and that next gig is going to come in? No, because you don't know your data and you don't understand how it happened. So, in my opinion, confidence comes, one, from clarity. The first and foremost, that's the foundation. So, knowing who you are and knowing what you stand for. It is really hard to understand if an opportunity is for you and also feel safe that and you won't miss an opportunity if you don't know who you are and you don't know what you stand for and you don't know what it is you're looking for. And I believe that confidence in your identity is the most important. That's where the self-trust really comes in. An example for me, integrity, truth, appreciation, respect, and excellence are all, those are all things that are very important to me. So if somebody comes into my life that I don't trust or they prove that they're untrustworthy, I know with certainty that's not an environment that I can thrive in. So they have to go. Or I have to really be very careful. It's a short-term thing, and I got to be really careful before I get out. Excellence is important. If you're going to be in one of my businesses or around me, the bar has to be really high. And so I can raise the bar, you can raise the bar for yourself, but if you're not managing yourself to that level of a standard, then you're probably not for me. You're probably not going to be in my inner circle. So I'm not going to miss an opportunity with people. I know where I'm going. And if I was in that period, if I'm not exactly sure where I'm going, I still know who I am. And I still have to trust my instincts of like, okay, integrity is important. That person's proven to not be worthy of trust. So that will help guide me, and we can always lean on that. The second area that confidence comes from is consistency. So that really is just doing what you say that you're going to do, even when nobody's watching. So if you continue to say that you're going to work out, but you never do, if you continue to say that you're going to post, but you never do, you're taking a notch down in your confidence every single time you do that. So showing up and having the consistency of doing things, A, you're going to get good at those things and learn something, and B, you're going to prove to yourself that you can believe yourself. You can trust yourself. You said you're going to do it and you actually did it. Today is an example for me. I had physical therapy at 7:30 this morning. I had some things that I had to get up early and do. I didn't get to work out. So in order for me to remain in a high standard with myself, I got to get a workout in today at some point, which is not my schedule. Those that know me, I work out in the mornings, but it is what it is. Another place where confidence comes from is courage and being able to to go for it no matter what. Because again, you are going to raise the bar in your own confidence, and you're going to show like, hey, I didn't die. I didn't die. I made it through this. And hey, I can do hard things. I can do hard things. I can do scary things. I can do things that are so outside of my comfort zone. And you may quite possibly be your own worst critic, but you're also going to prove to yourself that you can do it. You can do it. So let's break these down just a little bit more. When it comes to the first step of having clarity, that's where self-awareness is so important. So who are you without the titles? If you were to strip away your titles, the way that people know you, in the corporate world or as a wife or as a mother or as a lead, whatever it is, if you were to strip all of that away, who are you? And I know for me is that I'm somebody that's never going to commit to something that I know that I can't follow through on. So that increases my confidence in anything because I'm going to take a look at it. If I know that it may be hard, but I'm confident that I'll figure it out, even if it's hard. I'm somebody who always follows through. Always. I'm somebody who always double checks my work. I'm somebody who is going to show up in the best state possible, which means I'm going to sleep good, I'm going to eat good, I'm going to control my energy. And so I'm going to do the very, very best that I can. And that raises my level of self-trust and confidence because I know who I am. I'm a person of my word. I work hard, my work ethic, all of these things. And I feel like if people could focus more on who they are and trusting who they are, the confidence is going to rise. If you need to get better in a certain area, we're going to talk about that in a second, but you need to be confident in your identity and who you are as a person and what you stand for. What do you value most? We already talked about that. Truth, integrity, hard work, follow through, excellence, not perfection, excellence. And what do I believe about myself? Well, I believe that I'm a very confident person. I believe that I'm a very resilient person. People have been describing my energy as magnetic, right? It's a combination of bold, I'm going to get you into action, but there's a lot of empathy and there's a lot of intuitiveness in that as well. So I know who I am. Do you know who you are? And can you come back to that in any of the moments when it's tough? When everybody around you doesn't see things the way that you do, can you still trust yourself? It's always helpful to have at least one person in your life that can support you. But if you can't access them, you have to trust yourself. Two, again, consistency. Keep your word, follow through on the commitments to other people, but most especially the commitments that you make to yourself. Honor your boundaries, protecting your energy and your priorities. If somebody starts to act a certain way, they get pushed to the outer circle for me. That's just I'm not telling them that I push them to an outer circle, but I see, and I'm going to move away immediately from that person because I don't trust them. They've done something. They take my energy down, whatever it may be. Boundaries like, okay, I need more time to myself. I need more time in the sauna. So after 8 p.m., my phone is locked up. Nobody has access to me. What are the boundaries and priorities that you consistently, it's okay if you get off schedule, like it's never going to be perfect, especially for those of us that are high achievers. The balance is going to be different. But do you have a system where you can come back and make sure that the boundaries are in place? And the small daily actions compounding over time, stacking days, stacking activities, that is really where a lot of confidence is built. Do you feel like there's another level to reach, but you haven't been able to unlock the combination? Do you feel like on paper you've reached success, but something still feels off inside of you? You might describe it as feeling stuck or restless. Do you find yourself wanting to make a big change somewhere in your life, but you're unsure what steps to take and could also use some support in the process of moving gracefully in the direction your soul is calling you? If you've answered yes to any of these questions, my 12-week proprietary Unleash program may just be for you. If you'd like to learn more, head over to www.unleashwithchristy.com, answer a couple of questions, and book a discovery call with me. Keep rising, my friends. You are so much closer than you think. Step 3 is radical honesty. We can put on a front and we can show people everything that we want them to see, but at the end of the day, we know who we are, right? So like, it doesn't matter what we just showed somebody else because wherever you go, you take you with you. And now you're still an unconfident person because you just told them one thing, but you didn't do the thing, or they only see a piece of the puzzle. So getting really honest about, is there anything in your life that you need to get better on? And if you do, you need to get better in that area. I was just talking to my physical therapist this morning about this, and if you've done my programs, I'm all about having a daily scorecard for yourself. And here's the things that you do every single day, that you show up for every single day, that if you do these things, the end result is bound to happen. Right. So that's like your daily checklist of the things that I have to do in order to get the results that I want. But I could show up to take care of that checklist as a 4 out of 10. If I drank last night, I didn't sleep, I ate a bunch of Doritos, I haven't seen people in a while, like my energy is going to be off, which means that I'm not going to make the sales calls, whatever is on my checklist. I'm not going to go live. I'm not going to, create social media, my podcast interviews. They're not going to be as good. And so everything goes down. So I have the daily scorecard, which is how are we going to achieve results? And then the other piece of all of that is, how is Christy Cool showing up every single day? If I'm showing up as a 10 out of 10, then that scorecard is going to be accomplished totally differently. My energy is going to be different. The results are going to be better. If I show up as a 4 out of 10, like I said, and I didn't sleep, I didn't eat good, I haven't been working out, I feel pretty crummy about myself, my energy's off, my results aren't going to be there. So what are the things that you need to do? Are you doing them? And is there an area that you need to get better? And I was talking to my physical therapist. He was saying that, in today's society, he's talking about just teaching his children, and he said it in such a polite way that we're rewarded just for showing up today, right? Everybody gets a trophy, but if you look at the greats, like the Michael Jordans of the world, like Michael Jordan never lost even a sprint in practice. Never. He was always number one. And what we don't realize, and what I want everybody to realize, is you have to practice and you have to show up every single day as if it's the main event. Because when you do that and you show up with the energy and you're ready and you're a 10 out of 10, you're creating a neural pathway, creating a neural pathway, creating a neural pathway. So when you get in the game of life, you get in the game of why you should be chosen for whatever it is, or why they should join your program, or why you should be the one for the job, or whatever it may be, your brain already knows because you've been practicing. And then that is almost like an autopilot thing. That's the basic minimum requirements. And now your brain can be expanded to make it even better and be present and be aware. So what are the areas that you need to get better at? What do you need to practice on? People always, they want to speak the way that I speak and have conversations and have the presence. But if you guys only knew how many, I mean, it's probably months of time, if we added all the hours together, that I would practice in front of my mirror, see what my body language looks like, get the words out right, do the pauses, what's my posture looking like? And I would practice over and over and over again as I'm driving through my territory before I get. So practice, practice, practice. Sometimes we're not confident because we just need to get better at a particular thing. So that's where the radical honesty comes in. If you got to get better in it, spend the time and get better. And 4 is courage. You can begin without confidence. In fact, you must begin without confidence. You have to do it. Yeah, it's a way to show yourself that you can do it, that nothing terrible is going to happen. Everything is figure outable and everything is data. So if you didn't get what you wanted, I'll give you an example. I'm doing a talk October, November of this year, and it's a room with 900 women in it. There was a main stage keynote, and then there was these breakouts throughout the day. Well, the breakouts get between 100 and 300, and the main stage is 900. And, I'm very bold, and, I really want people to take the action and to live their life. And I missed something in my questions. And so as I'm presenting, I'm getting to know this person, and I'm presenting to her the things that I can talk about. And I'm like, man, I could just tell, like, these are all falling flat. And they were too bold. Her audience are people like me, and people that come and want to take bold action and make big change in their life. And then there's everything down to entry level employees. So it needed to be, right? So I didn't get the main stage. I ended up getting one of the breakouts, which I'm very grateful for. That's 100 to 300 women. But I could have taken that and been like, oh my gosh, I didn't get that. No, I'm like, okay, I learned something here. I learned something here. Okay, this particular audience, I need to provide more options of everyday topics. And so the topic that she chose is overcoming imposter syndrome. I'm like, okay, I get it. Okay, lesson learned. So those are the things that I just looked at that as like, okay, oh shoot, I wish I would have got the other one, but this is great. So think of everything as data and have the courage to go for it and see what happens. That's how we learn. We build confidence by taking the action despite the fear. This is how resilience is really built. You have to work through and you have to move through your own resistance. And the faster you do it, the better it is. The more time, I know for me and usually for everybody, it gets harder and harder because we have all these scenarios that pop into our head. So the moment of thought to the moment of taking the courageous action is going to be incredibly helpful for you if you can shorten that period of time. So back to identity, I think identity is so important because again, I know that my intentions are always good. I know that I'm here to help people and to serve. And so there's nothing that anybody could say about me that I don't do things for malicious intent. I'm an incredibly honest person. And so this is really helpful for me if somebody doesn't see my value or somebody like that person probably just isn't for me, or they don't care about that or whatever it is. At the end of the day, I know myself and I trust myself and I know what feels right for me. So oftentimes our confidence goes down because we're putting ourselves in situations that we think we're supposed to do in order to get the end result. And that doesn't feel good. I had somebody recently take my information and put an event on. And when I called them out on it, they invited me to speak at the event. Like none of that feels right. That feels so wrong that you took my information and inspired your event. You spun it when I had called you out on it. Now you invited me to speak. Like that just doesn't feel right. And so that's not a me. I don't have to do that to get to my end goal. So if I said yes to that, that would notch my confidence down. And that would probably attract things that aren't in alignment with me. Resiliency. The person that's the most resilient is the one that's going to win at the end of the day. So being able to just continue to show up. And if you know yourself and you know what's for you and what's not for you, your resiliency is going to go through the roof. Your environment matters. So oftentimes, I ask people like, well, when do you feel the most confident? I keep my chicken list, in my car after I work out. And that's when I take the bold action of people that I'm on my chicken list that I'm afraid to take the action for. So working out increases my confidence. There's also certain people that expand and increase my confidence. And there's other people that contract all of that. So it's very simple, but a big way of increasing your confidence is by spending more time around the people that make you feel good, less time around the people that don't make you feel good, that don't understand. Oftentimes this is family, and doing more of the activities that make you confident. For me, it's working out, getting sleep, having laughter, being around the right people. And really audit your inputs. You want everything to be as aligned as possible. Who's getting into your ears? Who are you around? Who's holding you accountable? What you consume is going to shape everything. And does your space support bold action? So who's in your life? Who are you telling things to? Who do you need to stop telling things to? Is your space neat and clean and tidy and gives you energy, or do you feel like the life is sucked out of you before you even get started? That's a really hard place to take bold action. So building your confidence. Here's a good system to follow. Morning rituals that ground you. Now you can go to my website. I'll give you that next. I have a free resource called Your Unstoppable Day. And that is really the way that I set myself up for success. And I know exactly what it is that I am supposed to do. It's part of a greater program called the Success Blueprint. That'll give you the other 5 components. That's part of absolutely everything that I teach, every program, every client. But you need to have rituals that start to feed your confidence every single day that you get into immediately. And I will tell you, scrolling on social media and checking your email are not part of those rituals. Probably going to be hydration, probably going to be gratitude, probably going to be working out. Weekly goals that stretch you. I'm not somebody who believes in like having these big outlandish goals. I think that is going to reduce your confidence. And so I'm more of a proponent of taking your goals, reverse engineering those down into daily actions. And so if I can create a little stretch on those daily actions to wind itself up into a weekly goal, that's a great way to create confidence. Your inner circle is going to reflect your future. And so if you're the smartest person in the world, or the room, if you're around a bunch of people that you can hide from, I'm around people that have invisible powers. There's no excuse that's acceptable. There's absolutely no excuse that's acceptable. It's my responsibility to take care of myself. It's my responsibility to make sure I show up as a 10 out of 10. And so that's pretty easy. It's pretty easy that it's just, if my circle is a certain way, then I show up a certain way. Like wow, how amazing is that? And then your habits, right? So what are your best practices? It starts with a morning ritual, but that should be throughout the day. You do the hard things first. Are you keeping the commitments to yourself? What are the habits that you do every single day? And then those stack over time. A couple of things that shake confidence. Number one is comparison. I find that if you don't know who you are and you don't know what's for you, it's much easier to start to compare yourself to other people. And that's hard if you're stepping out on a new path. It's hard. You just stay diligent, and you will figure out and get clarity on what it is that you want. But what you do know at the end of the day is who you are. And so you're never gonna, like for me, I'm never gonna do something that lacks integrity. I'm never gonna partner with somebody that lacks integrity. And so if I see that, it's an absolute no. And I stop comparing even the results that they get, because I'm never going to do that. Like I'm absolutely never going to do whatever they did with them, whatever. So I know. Perfectionism. I believe in excellence. I believe in double checking your work and making sure that you've done the research and you're speaking with confidence, because you know your stuff. I don't believe in perfectionism. Misalignment is one of those things that it's a place that I start with all my clients, no matter what happens, how you come in one on one through my Unleash program, my group coaching. I find that less than 5% of people are actually in alignment. And so it's really hard. Like I said, like if I were to show up and try to do something with people that I don't even want to be around, that's misalignment, and that's going to reduce my confidence. I don't have to do that to get the end result. Also misalignment. I was in corporate America. I pivoted out of corporate America, left a huge job, a huge title. There was things there that I needed to fix. There was no way I was going to get into full alignment with my true potential. I chased financial freedom. I caught it. I didn't realize that you're supposed to have peace, joy, and happiness too, and they can all exist. So when I left 6.5 years ago and forged this path for myself of coaching and speaking, it put me into alignment, and I could have the peace and the joy and the happiness too. And lack of recovery time too. Rest is important. You have to prioritize rest. So signs that you're becoming more confident, you stop asking for permission. You feel like you are exercising your true authentic voice every single day. You are a boundary master. You say no and you don't have any guilt around it. Doesn't mean that you have to be mean or rude. You can do that in a very polite way. And you find that you're more resilient. So you bounce back from any setbacks. Some people come to me and they're still like upset about something that happened 10 years ago, or something takes them a week to recover. Like I'm trying to get that recovery time as short as possible so that you feel your emotions and they move through you and we process that, but it's not taking you out of the game. So where can you go from here? That Unstoppable Day resource is on my website. You're welcome to go download that for free. It's a great starting point. It's part of the Success Blueprint. That's on my website too. And I have a 12-week program starting next week called Unleashed. And that's for people that really want to take the game, no matter where you are in life, to the next level. There's some great testimonials on my Instagram page that are popping up now. We're starting to get those rolled out. Of course, I have one-on-one coaching. You can email me if you're interested in that. All right. Well, have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for coming, and I hope to see you next month.